As we get older, grocery bags feel heavier, and cooking feels like a chore. People naturally start drifting towards simple, low-effort meals. It's so common, it actually has a medical name: tea and toast syndrome. A slice of toast and a cup of tea feels gentle on the stomach. People think they are eating cleanly, giving their aging bodies a break. In reality, they are starving their muscles of macronutrients and accelerating their own physical decline. This line graph plots average human muscle mass against age. We lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass every decade after age 30. By age 60, that drop-off gets significantly steeper. The exact dietary habits our society associates with a peaceful, healthy retirement are actually a primary catalyst for physical frailty. To understand why this happens, we have to look at a biological phenomenon called anabolic resistance. As the body ages, the cellular machinery responsible for building muscle doesn't disappear or break down. It just goes dormant. The muscle tissue becomes effectively deaf to normal nutritional signals. This comparative bar chart shows what that deafness looks like. If a 25-year-old and a 65-year-old eat the exact same meal, the younger body easily triggers protein synthesis. The older body barely registers the food because the threshold to start building muscle is now drastically higher. We don't need a new biological engine to maintain our strength later in life. We just have to know how to breach this elevated threshold. Inside your skeletal muscle is a master molecular switch, known as the mTORC1 pathway. When activated, it tells the body to synthesize protein and grow tissue. But in an older body, a generic serving of protein isn't enough to trigger activation. Forcing the pathway open requires a high density of one specific amino acid, leucine. Look at this threshold gauge. Standard protein fails to cross the activation line in aging muscle. But hit the system with 3 grams of leucine, and the gauge surges past the anabolic threshold. This requires eating 30 grams of high-quality protein in a single meal. Delivering that critical mass of leucine is the mandatory first step to waking up a dormant muscle cell. Even a perfect dose of leucine will struggle to work if the muscle remains a closed system. This is where a process called mechanotransduction comes in. When you place a muscle under heavy tension through resistance training, you physically alter its chemistry. After that physical stress ends, the muscle fiber is left highly sensitive to incoming amino acids. This window of hypersensitivity stays open for up to 48 hours. Lifting weights doesn't spontaneously generate new tissue on its own. It forcibly lowers the cellular threshold, allowing dietary leucine to enter the muscle and actually do its job. Beyond diet and exercise, a third biological pillar regulates muscle health: the gut-muscle axis. When you combine consistent exercise with a nutrient-dense diet, you cultivate specific bacteria in your microbiome. These bacteria ferment dietary fibers to produce molecules called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. This flow diagram tracks SCFA molecules. They migrate from the intestinal tract, travel through the bloodstream, and bind directly to skeletal muscle tissue. Once attached, SCFAs form a protective barrier around the muscle, lowering inflammation and actively deflecting the signals that cause muscle breakdown. A diverse, healthy microbiome functions as a biological defense system, locking in the anabolic gains you earned through your diet and training. Despite the biology, a major psychological barrier stops older adults from eating the protein they need: the persistent fear that a high-protein diet will destroy aging kidneys. Look at the scatter plot summarizing multiple longitudinal studies on aging adults. The flat trend line across the data indicates zero decline in kidney function among healthy older adults who increased their protein intake. Assuming you do not have pre-existing chronic kidney disease, your kidneys are highly robust biological filters. They are completely capable of handling the increased amino acid load. The perceived risk to healthy kidneys is zero. Conversely, if you stick to a tea and toast diet, the risk of extreme physical frailty is absolutely guaranteed. Building muscle remains responsive to high leucine intake, resistance training, and a healthy microbiome. Aligning our daily habits with these 3 thresholds keeps the body functional well into the later decades of life.